So, Galactic Astrology 101, the signs and the stars. So, this is going to be a very interesting and very in-depth session, going into what are the signs, what are the stars, and how do they relate with astrology? What do they tell us about astrology? Because oftentimes in the modern world, in the modern approach to astrology, we see so much information about what's your sun sign, what's your sun, moon, and rising. And oftentimes, this is a very one-dimensional perspective of the astrological signs. So here we're going to be delving in a little bit deeper, defining what the language of astrology is, what the flavors of the different signs represent, and how they can affect our lives, how they can influence our charts, and how we can learn from them. So the first slide. So the signs of galactic astrology. The signs of galactic astrology are based on the constellations. That's a very important thing to note. And as such, will feature the sidereal zodiac or the galactic zodiac. So the sidereal zodiac and the galactic zodiac are based on the constellations. They're based on the energy that is represented by all of the constellations, and that aligns with them in an astronomical way. So in modern astrology or tropical astrology, we look at the signs as they relate with the seasons. But in galactic astrology, we are relating the signs to the actual constellations, which are the stars that we can view in the sky. This way, the zodiac signs are in a direct alignment with the stars and allow us to tap into metaphysical energies and timelines that translate into character traits, personalities, and situations on Earth. Now, the galactic astrology dates are going to change a little bit from what we're used to in terms of in terms of mainstream tropical astrology. So the galactic astrology signs differ from mainstream signs because they follow the constellations. This moves the signs about 24 degrees back from their tropical position. In the sidereal calculation, the length of the signs is averaged to around 30 degrees. However, the galactic calculation length of the signs is the actual length of the constellations, which varies greatly. So, for example, the Virgo constellation is something like maybe about 40 something degrees, whereas Scorpio is only about 6 degrees. So you can see how the constellations can vary so much. However, in the sidereal system, the constellations have kind of just been rounded out to 30 degrees so that it can be even and it can make up 360 degrees of a circle. It's totally fine to use this system, and it's totally fine to use a more constellation-based calculation system. Either way is going to work because the signs overlap. So, and it's also really difficult to find astrological software that will make the galactic calculations. So using the sidereal calculations is acceptable as many of the signs overlap. For example, Scorpio and Ophiuchus overlap, Scorpio and Libra overlap, Virgo will overlap into Libra as well. So, it's okay to round them out approximately to make it easier to use the system and to calculate the system. Because when we're dealing with the constellations, if you think about it, most astrology software is not going to calculate 40-degree Virgo, 6-degree Scorpio, 30-degree this here and there. So it's better to just kind of round it out if you can't find a website that calculates it. And if you are interested in finding a website that calculates the constellational zodiac, then I can send you that. It's actually True Sidereal Astrology by Athan Chimenti. His website is called masteringthezodiac.com. So if you really want a resource that does that, that is a very good website. So here, if you look to the side, you can see all of the constellations and their respective dates. So, they're going to move a little bit. And if you think about your chart, then your sun sign might change a little bit based on when you were born. If you're on the cusp of a sign, then you'll probably move backwards into the sign before. And if you're more deep into a sign, then you're going to move into the sign before as well. The only time that you're going to stay is when you're like all the way at the end of your sign, and then you just move back into the beginning of your sign. And you can see the galactic real zodiac here and the sidereal zodiac. It varies by a couple of days per calculation. The most notable change is September, which is Virgo, which is September 6th to October 30th in the galactic column. So that's a really, really big change because it's like a month and a half that the sun is in Virgo. And that's why, I mentioned that Virgo is a really long constellation, whereas in the sidereal zodiac, Virgo only extends about a month. And then you can also see Scorpio is a month in sidereal, but in galactic, it's like 6 days because it's 6 degrees, like I said. And then we have Ophiuchus taking over the latter part of Scorpio, which we will talk about later on in the slides. So everything stays pretty much about a month aside from Scorpio and Virgo as far as right here goes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So all of it's about a month. Now moving forward, the categories of the signs. So the signs fall into two main astrological categories. Those are the elements and the modalities. The elements are representative of the primordial elements, earth, air, water, and fire, and represent different ways of expressing energy. Certain elements support each other and others challenge each other. For example, fire will often complement air unless it is in an opposition, which is a planetary sort of complementary energy. However, it can be oppositional, just like the word describes. Another example is that water will complement earth, especially in sextile, just as with air and fire. But when they're opposite, they will cause maybe a little bit of imbalance. Modalities are cardinal, fixed, and mutable. They express the manner in which an element expresses itself and further define the zodiac character traits. So cardinal, fixed, and mutable is kind of like the manner in which the zodiac sign behaves in addition to the element. So it further defines that zodiac sign. So going deeper into the elements, the earth element gives a grounded and practical approach to life. It rules the signs of Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. The air element is intellectual, communicative, and thoughtful. It rules the signs of Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. The water element is empathetic, feeling, and intuitive. It rules Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. The fire element is passionate, driven, and purposeful. It rules Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So this kind of categorizes the elements, the signs into 4 elements, which gives them more of a typical representation of the elements. So it's kind of easy to understand. Whereas the modalities, which we're going to look at next, is a little bit trickier to understand initially, but you'll get it. So the modalities are the cardinal modalities. So the first modality is the cardinal modality. It is an initiator, one that has the insight and courage to begin projects. Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and Capricorn fall under this category. So cardinal is the beginning. It's like if you think of the cardinal bird, it's bright red and it makes loud sound. So it's very courageous and brave. It's very out there. It puts itself out there. The fixed modality is one that is focused, dedicated, and will carry a task through. It has the staying power to get things done. Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius fall under this category. So the fixed modality is it's very strong, it's very sturdy, and it's very grounded, kind of like the earth sign. And it's because it really knows how to get things done. It's really going to stay and do the work to see things through, to make things happen. Okay. The mutable modality is changeable, flexible, and multifaceted. It often has the insight to come up with solutions and solve dilemmas. Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces belong to this category. So mutable, you can think of mutable as changeable. It goes one way and then it goes another way, kind of like Gemini, kind of like Pisces as well are also very known for, kind of being wishy-washy, going in different directions. And this can at times be seen as a negative trait, but it's actually a strength and a skill because it allows them to see multiple perspectives and to come up with solutions that are really effective. Now we get into the interesting part of the signs, which is the stars of galactic astrology. So the stars are really, really important. They further define the signs and the zodiac. The stars are specialized focal points within the constellations. They represent multidimensional timelines in the evolution of consciousness and are also portals for divine exploration and development. They highlight the signs' energies by giving them special talents and traits. So the stars are not only a very physical and visual aspect of astrology, because in ancient times, the astrologers would look up to the sky and they would see the stars in the constellations, and different stars would portend certain events and foreshadow certain things to come. So the stars, not only are they very physical and very much affect our lives in a physical and grounded way, but they're also metaphysical and they're also spiritual in nature, and they can be used as tools of divine exploration and development. So this can go even deeper into the metaphysicality of astrology. The stars play a very important role in differentiating between different energies of a sign, different degrees of a sign. These degrees are categorized into asterisms, which are sections of stars. An example of an asterism would be the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper is a part of the Ursa Major constellation, but it's a small part of it that's very recognizable. So that's what an asterism is. It's a small grouping of stars known as lunar mansions. So these small groupings of stars in astrology are known as lunar mansions. They'll be referred to as asterisms more if you're looking into astronomical literature. There are Vedic, Arabic, and Chinese lunar mansions. I'm sure that there are more lunar mansions, but those are the most widely talked about and recognized, as well as decans, which are more commonly used in tropical and Egyptian astrology. So decans are more related with the sun rather than the moon, and they're more used in tropical astrology and kind of correspond to tropical. All of these systems of sign/star categorizations are open for experimentation. However, for the purpose of this lesson, I will be introducing nakshatras, which are Vedic lunar mansions. So like I said, everyone in the practice of galactic astrology, which is a system that I synthesized for freedom of exploration of astrology, is welcome to look into the Arabic lunar mansions, the Chinese lunar mansions, and the Vedic lunar mansions, which we will be covering, because they all have something to offer, and you'll often see parallels between them, and you will at times see differences as well. But that's the beauty of astrology being interpreted by many different cultures and their cultural influences and perspectives, adding to the richness of astrological study. The lunar mansions, aka nakshatras, and from now on we'll probably be using that term interchangeably, and we'll also be using nakshatras a lot. It is a Vedic or Sanskrit word, so it's a little difficult to pronounce, but you'll get the hang of it. Nakshatras are divided into 27 sections related to specific asterisms. Like we said, those are groups of stars within the constellations / signs. A nakshatra is divided into sections of 13 degrees and 20 minutes, with some nakshatras contained in one sign and some overlapping with neighboring signs. So to break this down for you, if you look at the image, you can see the signs represented by symbols on the inner circle. The middle circle is the animals and figures that represent the signs. And then on the outer wheel, or the second to last wheel, we have the nakshatras, which you can see some of the nakshatras, both of them are in one sign. Like for example, if you look at Leo, which is in the top right corner, you will, oh wow, this doesn't line up with it exactly, but that's okay. But if you look at Leo as according to the symbols, you will see that there are two nakshatras on the outer wheel that line up. And then you have the constellations on the outside. This picture, unfortunately, isn't astronomically correct. The constellations are kind of like a few behind, but you still get the gist of that's how it kind of projects onto the system. So the constellations are on the outside, which form the asterisms, which make up the signs, etc. So nakshatras, according to the stars, they align with defined and specialized 13 degrees and 20 minutes that it influences. So the section of the sign that the nakshatra influences will have a different energy than the other sections of the sign. So we know that in the sidereal system, all of the constellations are represented by 30 degrees in the sidereal system. We talked about the galactic, which is a little different, but for the purposes of easy calculation, the 30-degree system represents the constellations as 30 degrees. And as a result, each 13 and 20 degree portion has its own nakshatra. Sometimes that nakshatra will begin at 0 degrees. Like for example, we have Aries. 0 degrees of Aries begins Ashwini, and that goes until 13 and 20 degrees of Aries, which goes into Bharani. And from 26-40 degrees will go into Kritika, and so forth and so on. Nakshatras also have rulers like the zodiac signs. Rulership is extended to the lunar nodes as well. So like the signs, which we'll talk about, are ruled by planets, the nakshatras are also ruled by planets, but in addition to the main planets that we always talk about, they are also ruled by the north and south node, which is a component of astrology dealing with karmic energy. And this is a nice photo of the nakshatras, and I'm just going to go over them really quickly. We have a more creative image to the left and a more, I guess, measured out, organized image to the right. So on the right side, you can see at the beginning of Aries, which is towards the left lower hemisphere of here, you can see that Ashwini is ruled by the south node, and you can see that it begins the constellation of Aries. So Ashwini starts at 0 degrees of Aries. Then we have Bharani, we have Kritika, Rohini, Mrigashira, Ardra, Punarvasu, Pushyami, which is also known as Pushya, Ashlisha, Magha, Purva Falguni, Uttara Falguni, Hasta, Chitra, Swati, Vishaka, Anuradha, Jeshta, Mula, Purva, Shada, Uttara, Shada, Shravana, Danishta, Shada, Bishak, Purva, Bhadrapada, Uttara, Bhadrapada, and Revati. So those are all of the names of the 27 lunar mansions as per the Vedic system. And you can see how they divide up the signs and further categorize the signs. So for example, if we go over to Pisces, we can see that Pisces starts off at the tail end of Purva Bhadrapada and is ruled by Jupiter. So this is going to give it a very expansive, very spiritual energy, and Purva Bhadrapada is a very expansive and spiritual energy, has very powerful regenerative capabilities as well. Then we see towards the middle of Pisces, Uttara Bhadrapada, which is ruled by Saturn. This is more of a very serious, doing spiritual work on yourself sort of nakshatra. And then we have Revati, which is a more abundant and free lunar mansion that's very, very rich in spiritual resources, very loving, caring, and giving. And then on the left, we have this beautiful image that shows the nakshatras and the signs that are in symbols. So it has like Leo the lion, and you can see above Leo, we have Maga, Purva Falguni, and Uttara Falguni, and those are represented by the symbol. So just like the signs like Leo the lion, Cancer the crab, the nakshatras, the lunar mansions, have signs that represent them as well, that further define the energy of the zodiac sign. And we'll talk more about that as we get into the signs. So, okay. Aries. So we have reached the first sign of the zodiac. Aries is a dynamic and pioneering cardinal fire sign. It is intense in its expression and can act as a good leader or director of energy. Aries sees opportunities and goes after them and has the courage to initiate big changes and developments. Aries is ruled by the fiery planet Mars, and as such can be associated with wars and violence. Represented by the ram, Aries symbolizes the ability to go headfirst into our desires, even if we end up getting hurt in the process. The Aries constellation is most well known for its two most popular stars, Hamal and Sheraton, which I believe are alpha and beta of the Aries constellation. Aries is divided into three nakshatras, Ashwini, Bharani, and the beginning of Kritika. So, key words for Aries: the first house of astrology, which deals with the head, and it also deals with the self. Aries is very courageous, pioneering, it's a leader, a risk taker, can be violent, and has warrior-like tendencies. So Aries is the beginning of the zodiac wheel. It is the initiator, it is the starter, and like we said, it's cardinal. So it's brave, it's courageous, it begins things, it's a fire sign. So it is very fiery, very excited, passionate, and purposeful. And we have these nakshatras here, Ashwini, Bharani, and Kritika, which I can give you guys a short little description of. So Ashwini is ruled by the horse goddess. I don't know if you guys saw in the photo with all of the symbols of the nakshatras, it's ruled by the horse goddess. So it's very swift, it's very quick, it gets things done. It was also known as the physician to the gods of Vedic astrology. So it is a very highly esteemed, very highly held nakshatra. Bharani is represented by the yoni, which is the female sexual reproductive organ. The yoni is one of birth, one of creation. Bharani will often go through many transformations in life because of its ability to birth new things, which is the process of birth, which is the opposite of death, which is kind of like a transformation in and of itself. Kritika is a very powerful nakshatra because it is very sharp and very cutting. It is associated with the Pleiades, which is the seven sisters of the star cluster that is in Taurus, which we'll see next, because Kritika is actually mostly in the sign of Taurus. Aries only starts a little bit of the beginning. Okay, now moving forward. Taurus. Taurus is a grounded and practical sign. It values high quality over quantity and will always prioritize responsibilities. As a fixed earth sign, so by fixed, we mean that Taurus is grounded. It likes to carry through tasks and get things done. And it's an earth sign, so that makes it extra grounded, because earth signs are very practical, very smart, very resourceful, will be on the more responsible, more serious side. Taurus's work is slow and deliberate and aimed towards achieving a solid and sturdy outcome. Ruled by Venus, Taurus can be materialistic at times, but overall just enjoys indulging the five senses in the finer things in life. Represented by the bull, Taurus symbolizes strength, sturdiness, and the power to make things happen. The Taurus constellation's brightest stars are Aldebaran, El Nath, and El Sion. It is known for both the Pleiades and Hyades star clusters. We talked about the Pleiades in the last slide. Taurus is divided into three nakshatras: Kritika, which is very sharp, very cutting, very intelligent, and very wise, but can also be very nurturing. Rohini, which is all about pleasure and the senses. This nakshatra has been referred to as the sugar baby nakshatra because Rohini really enjoys being taken care of, really enjoys very beautiful, sensuous pleasures, and likes being pampered. And then we have Mrigashira. Mrigashira is represented by the deer's head. So very doe-eyed, curious, adventurous energy here. And Mrigashira will transition into Gemini. Key words to remember when we're dealing with Taurus is that Taurus is representative of the second house in astrology. And the second house has to deal with throat, the neck, the voice, and it also has to deal with money. So Taurus is hardworking, loyal, sensual, determined, likes relaxation and enjoyment. Gemini. Gemini is an intelligent and witty, mutable air sign. So like we said earlier, mutable signs are changeable. They can go back and forth between two things. They can see multiple sides of a situation and are often very inventive and are able to come up with solutions. Air signs are ones that are intellectual, communicative, and have lots of ideas. Gemini knows how to work situations in its favor through mental dexterity and persuasiveness. Ruled by Mercury, it is a strategic and logical sign that has great fortitude and success when its skills are applied in the proper manner. Symbolized by the twins, Gemini represents the ability to use both hemispheres of the brain to achieve optimal intelligence. So if you think about the twins, you have one twin who's on the left, one twin who's on the right, and they're able to kind of communicate amongst themselves and be mischievous and clever in their actions because they've got one side covered and the other side covered. So often one is more creative, one is more logical, and we can relate that with the hemispheres of the brain, like the left side and the right side. The Gemini constellation is most known for its two brightest stars, Castor and Pollux. And very interesting story about Castor and Pollux is that they are representative of the twins from Greek mythology. So Castor was the mortal twin and Pollux was the immortal twin. I believe Castor was really good with riding horses, and I believe Pollux was really good with boxing. Okay, so maybe Castor had a more refined perspective, whereas Pollux was more aggressive, more, just forthcoming. Gemini is also divided into three nakshatras. Mrigashira, which begins in Taurus and ends in Gemini, which is the deer-headed nakshatra, very curious and perceptive. Ardra, which is completely contained in Gemini, and Ardra is a nakshatra that deals with storms and deep revelations. It is ruled, or it is represented by a teardrop or a diamond. So a teardrop can mean tears, it can mean rain, or diamond can mean, digging through deep soil in order to find something beautiful. So it does represent a lot of hard work on oneself. Punarvasu is represented by an arrow, a bow and arrow, and it is also a sign that signifies travel. It signifies benefic energy, going places and bringing light, bringing knowledge, bringing information. Okay, Punarvasu is a very lucky nakshatra because it's often seen as the nakshatra that brings light after the storm of Ardra. Keywords to keep in mind about the Gemini zodiac sign is that it is the original ruler of the third house of astrology, which deals with intelligence and communication and also siblings. It also rules arms and hands of the body. It is intelligent, ingenious, persuasive, a fast talker, communicative, dexterous, and it deals with technology a lot of the time. So Geminis will be really good at texting, they'll be really good at emailing, they'll be really good at organizing spreadsheets and doing stuff like that. Okay. Now we have Cancer. Cancer is a deeply emotional cardinal water sign. So cardinal, again, has the courage and bravery to begin things, but now it's water. So water is emotional. This is like a leader in the family, a leader of emotional things, things that have to do with emotions. So Cancer is ruled by the moon and is the sign of the nurturer, the caregiver, and the mother. Cancer possesses the power to love at an unconditional level and gives strong interest in the culinary arts, fine arts, and family. So Cancer is very loving, very connected, very intuitive, and very creative, and oftentimes wants to nurture others because they feel the strong call from their heart to give to others. And oftentimes will, be very close with family, will hold a very strong role in the family. You can think of Cancer as like a matriarch of the family or a mother. Represented by the crab, Cancer can show how we grip tightly to our desires and have the will to fight for what we care about most. Hard on the outside, yet soft on the inside, Cancers can often put up a protective barrier to prevent themselves from getting hurt because of their sensitive nature. The Cancer constellations, excuse me, the Cancer constellation's most well-known stars are Acubens, Acellus Australis, and Acellus Borealis. And those actually, what's interesting about the Cancer constellation is that it's the dimmest constellation in the sky. So the stars aren't as visible as they would be in, let's say, Leo, which we'll cover next. Acubens, Acellus Australis, and Acellus Borealis are still observable to the naked eye. I've taken pictures of them myself, but they're still a little bit more difficult to see. Cancer is divided into 3 nakshatras: Punarvasu, which it covers the later end of, Pushya, which is a very nurturing and loving sign. It is a sign, or rather nakshatra, of nourishment, of beauty, of being comfortable, being well fed, being well taken care of. It's a very comfortable sign. It can show wealth and prestige as well. And Ashleisha, which is ruled or symbolized by the snake. Ashleisha can represent Kundalini energy, intense and perceptive psychic powers as well. Key words for Cancer are the 4th house. So it rules the 4th house in astrology. And the 4th house has to do with home. It has to do with family, early childhood memories. Cancer also rules the stomach and the physical body. It's very caring, empathetic, loyal, and nurturing. Leo is a fixed fire sign. Leo. Okay, so I'm sure we've all heard a lot about Leo. Leo is the performer, it's the attention seeker, someone who has lots of energy, right? Being a fixed fire sign, fixed means that it's very grounded and very focused. It really carries things out. And fire is energetic, it's purposeful, it has lots of vitality. Okay, so you can kind of see Leo as the epitome of vitality. Okay, it offers great creativity, vitality, like I said, energy, and talent. Ruled by the sun, which is our ultimate source of vitality, Leo is a bright, charming, and energetic sign. Leos can often be found performing, leading, or somewhere in the center of attention. Their attraction to dramatic flair allows them to shine as individuals. They can often garner many followers and admirers because of their charisma and style. Leo is represented by the lion, which gives the attributes of pride and courage. The Leo constellation is home to two very bright stars, Regulus and Denebola. Regulus is the heart of the lion. That's a very extremely bright star. It is visible. You can actually look up on star registries, or you can use little apps to locate it in the night sky. I believe that it is in the northern hemisphere, it's visible around late summer. Don't quote me on that. But Regulus is really bright and it is visible. And so is Denebola. Leo is divided into three nakshatras. Maga, which is the nakshatra of the king. It is symbolized by a chariot or a crown. So this is a very royal nakshatra. It is one that is a nakshatra of leaders, one of a nakshatra of ancestry as well, because it gives gifts and talents of ancestry. So perhaps you inherit the royal crown. Then we have Purva Falguni and Uttara Falguni. So whenever we have nakshatras in Vedic astrology that have a different prefix and the same suffix, those mean that they're a separated, it's one nakshatra, but it's separated into the former and the latter. And that's what Purva means. It means the former, and Uttara means the latter. So the Falgunis are represented by a bed, which represents prosperity, relaxation, a happy marriage, being able to just relax and enjoy the fruits of life. This is a very easygoing, very abundant, very relaxing, maybe taking vacations kind of nakshatra. So anyone who has this nakshatra probably enjoys life a lot and has a lot of luxuries and a lot of things that bring them happiness and pleasure. Keywords to remember with Leo. Leo is the ruler of the natural ruler of the fifth house, which has to do with play, self-expression, and children. It also rules the heart and the human body. And it also rules children, romance. It's a performer, it's playful, charismatic, and prideful. Okay. Now we have room for the Q&A. Does anyone have any questions? If so, you can put them in the chat, or you can just let me know. It's okay if you don't have any questions, that's great. That lets me know that you're understanding. So if there's no questions, we're gonna go ahead and continue. Okay, Virgo. Now we're halfway through the signs. Virgo is a mutable earth sign that is very dedicated to efficiency, organization, and productivity, okay? Mutable means that it's changeable, it's flexible, and earth means that it's grounded. It values working hard towards executing efficient and smooth running processes. As it is ruled by Mercury, Virgo can spot the details and will often know where to make small adjustments to facilitate more successful results. So Virgo is very keen and very perceptive. Astrologically represented by the Virgin, Virgo symbolizes the ability to put all selfish needs aside and focus on doing a thorough job. The brightest and most well-known star in the Virgo constellation is Spica. Spica is a very, very beautiful star. If you would like to view it, it is visible in the night sky as well. It's very beautiful. Virgo is divided into three nakshatras, Uttara Falguni, Hasta, and Chitra. So Uttara Falguni we talked about already. Virgo rules the latter end of Uttara Falguni. And then we have Hasta. Hasta is represented by a hand. So Hasta is a skilled nakshatra. It is one that can grasp concepts, it can grasp things, it can manifest things, it can make things, okay? Chitra is a nakshatra that is a nakshatra of design and beauty and, very skilled creativity, very skilled, perhaps music, arts, many fashion designers, high quality artists may have this as well. Keywords: sixth house. So Virgo rules the sixth house, which is the house of health and work. And it also, in the physical body, rules the intestines. It is focused, detail-oriented, thorough, specialized, efficient, organized, and it can be somewhat nitpicking at times. Libra is a diplomatic and fair-minded cardinal air sign. So again, cardinal is beginning, taking charge. Air is thoughtful, it's communicative, okay? It has the qualities of gracefulness, balance, and dignity. Ruled by the planet Venus, Libra values the finer things in life and takes great interest in the arts, literature, and culture. Represented by the scales of balance, Libra knows how to use proper judgment, especially in social situations. This sign often thrives in relationships because they feel happy being half of a whole. Libras can often serve as mediator to difficult situations, as they always know how to be fair. The Libra constellation's brightest stars are Zubin el-Janubi and Zubin esh-Shamali. Libra is divided into 3 nakshatras. Chitra, which we talked about, is a nakshatra of design, of beauty, of fashion, and that's the latter half of Chitra. Swati is a nakshatra of swiftness. It's a nakshatra of intelligence, so well-cultured, knowledgeable, able to mediate and communicate very effectively and easily, likes to travel, likes to, interact and mingle with lots of different kinds of people because they're very easily adaptable in situations. And Vishaka, which is a very intense nakshatra because it really goes after its goals. It really gets things done, and it knows how to manipulate situations to its advantage as well. Chitra, like we said, Chitra is actually represented by a pearl. Swati is represented by a reed blowing in the wind, so like a small plant blowing in the wind, and Vishaka is a forked road. Keywords for Libra is that it rules the 7th house. 7th house is a house of relationships. Libra is knowledgeable, social, fair, balanced, a mediator, and a people pleaser. And in the human body, Libra will rule the kidneys and the sexual organs as well. Okay, Scorpio. Scorpio is a fixed water sign. So fixed meaning that it carries tasks through, and water meaning that it is emotional and sociable and intuitive. Scorpio brings with it an intensity of emotion. Because of their profound empathetic and psychic abilities, Scorpios are often able to tap into deeper information around them that is commonly overlooked by others. Ruled by Mars and Pluto, Scorpio possesses an innate aggressive and probing nature, which allows them to uncover hidden truths. Scorpios may be inclined towards fixation and obsessive thinking. However, when applied properly, their skills can be helpful in diving deep into the shadows to find the light. Symbolized by the scorpion, Scorpios represent the ability to penetrate the surface and inflict deep damage when provoked, because Scorpios can often be vengeful. The two brightest stars in the Scorpio constellation are Antares and Shalwa. Antares is a very, very bright star. It is absolutely magnificent when viewed. It's beautiful, bright red, and sparkly. Scorpio is divided into 3 nakshatras. Vishaka, which we talked about before, Anuradha, which is a nakshatra of friendship, a nakshatra of being reliable, kind, and well-liked, and Jeshta. Jeshta is a nakshatra known as the eldest one. This is a very wise, very smart nakshatra. It is often known as the nakshatra of billionaires because it's very wise with its investments. Keywords: 8th house. Scorpio is the ruler of the 8th house, which means that it rules transformations, it rules debts or taxes or shared resources with another. It also rules the sex organs and the physical body. It has intensity, it's very penetrative, obsessive, it's an investigator, and it's extremely perceptive. Now, we're going to talk about Ophiuchus, which is a very interesting constellation. It's not normally talked about in mainstream astrology, and it's actually been dubbed the 13th zodiac sign. So, a while ago, astronomers did like a little investigation into astrology, and they found that Ophiuchus intercepts the ecliptic, which is the circle of constellations that are connected with the zodiac constellations, the zodiac signs. Ophiuchus intersects the ecliptic as well, which should make it a zodiac sign because that is the kind of criteria for signs to be included in the zodiac. However, in the past, the ancients didn't include Ophiuchus for whatever reason. Now, in the future, in the new age, we are including Ophiuchus as a higher octave of Scorpio. So let me explain. Ophiuchus is commonly known as the 13th zodiac sign. It is not used in classical or tropical astrology, but is acknowledged by astronomers and New Age astrology systems such as true sidereal astrology, which I mentioned before. It is representative of a higher octave and extension of Scorpio because it overlaps with the dates of the Scorpio sun sign. So where Scorpio cuts off, Ophiuchus begins, and then there's Sagittarius. It is much like Scorpio because it is intense and investigative. However, Ophiuchus possesses a deep shamanic and regenerative power that deals with death and rebirth. Represented by a man holding a snake, Ophiuchus symbolizes the power to control Kundalini energy and use it for healing. The two brightest stars in the Ophiuchus constellation are Ras Al Hag and Sabik. Keywords for Ophiuchus: higher octave of Scorpio, extension of Scorpio, healer, shaman, regenerative, Kundalini, and rebirth. So you can apply the latter nakshatras of Scorpio to Ophiuchus because they do overlap. And Ophiuchus is a really interesting sign. It has some really great mythology behind it, and it should be recognized in astrology because it adds to the richness of the Scorpio sign. So, if you were born between the dates that we showed before, then you may, and it falls in a late November into mid-December, then you may be a Ophiucan. So Ophiuchus is a great sign. All right, so now moving on to Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. Mutable meaning that it is changeable in nature, it is flexible in nature, and fire giving it that courageous and passionate energy. It possesses a strong belief in oneself and in a higher power. This sign is often on a mission to teach and enlighten those around them. Sagittarius possesses great worldly experience that translates into spiritual wisdom. Through this wisdom and understanding, Sagittarius can reach new heights of knowledge and understanding, inspiring many to embrace optimism and higher beliefs. Ruled by Jupiter, Sagittarius is an expansive and open-minded sign, always looking to see the greater good in things and expand their knowledge. Symbolized by the archer, Sagittarius represents a keen eye for goals and to be able to reach new heights with the right stance and mindset. The two brightest stars in the Sagittarius constellation are Cos Australis and Nunki. Sagittarius is divided into three nakshatras: Mula, and Mula Nakshatra begins Sagittarius. So Mula is represented by a root. It's often a nakshatra of doctors, a nakshatra of healing, of getting to the root of an issue, uprooting it, and healing as a result. So it's a very, very intense nakshatra. It is one that is definitely going to deal with healing on a very deep level and of spiritual revelations. Purva Ashadha and Uttara Ashadha. So like we said, whenever the prefixes of nakshatras are different and the suffixes are the same, that means that it's one nakshatra that's divided into the former and the latter. So the Purva Ashadha nakshatra and Uttara Ashadha nakshatras are representative of, they're represented by elephant tusks or triumphal archways. So what that means is that this is a nakshatra that is so um, buoyant and happy and believes in oneself and believes in their mission and believes in their cause so much that they are unbeatable. They are unstoppable. Okay, so Purva Ashada is translates to the former victory. So this represents having victory early on in life, many victories, being able to overcome things, to get through things. That's why it's represented by the elephant's tusks, because they kind of pierce through anything. No one's going to get past those tusks. Then we have Uttara Ashada, which is victory later on in life. So Uttara Ashada might have to work a little bit harder for that victory, but they will have it and they'll have that lasting success. Now, keywords for Sagittarius. It rules the ninth house. The ninth house is the house of travel, higher wisdom, higher knowledge, spiritual studies and spiritual pursuits. It also rules the legs and thighs and the human body. It is an optimist, it's worldly, spiritual, has higher morals, can often be seen as a preacher or a motivational speaker. Okay, so now we're at Capricorn. Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign. So it's beginning the earth series. So it's a leader in terms of being grounded and practical. It represents a dedication to responsibility and to pursuing major ambitions. Capricorn energy is that of a leader and one who takes their obligations very seriously. They are always planning for the future and attempting to lay a good foundation for the growth they seek in their lives. Ruled by Saturn, Capricorn has a very serious and mature perspective on life, giving it the ability to achieve ambitious goals through hard work. Symbolized by the sea goat, Capricorn represents the ability to swim or climb to very high heights with fortitude and dedication. So the sea goat can be kind of a differentiating energy where Capricorn can wade through water, which is emotional terrain, and also as the goat, it can wade through, physical terrain, and it can climb those mountains. So it's very flexible in its ability to overcome challenges and overcome obstacles. The two brightest stars in the Capricorn constellation are Deneb, Algeti, and Dabith. So those are very interesting stars and have some really interesting interpretations to them if you'd like to look those up. Capricorn is divided into 3 nakshatras: Uttara Ashada, which we talked about before. So this is the latter part of Uttara Ashada. Shravana, which is represented by an ear or footsteps. Shravana is a very intuitive sign, is able to listen. It's all about listening. It's all about hearing, all about communication, really being able to absorb information and process information at a deep level. It's very spiritual nakshatra. And then we have Dhanishta. So the beginning part of Dhanishta would be ruled by Capricorn. So Dhanishta is a sign that is, nakshatra, which is symbolized by drums or flutes. So it's kind of like a sign that's about music, that's about rhythm and beat and being in tune with the universe, being able to be in the right place at the right time. It is also known as the richest one. So Dhanishta is able to excel and achieve in material gains, often through being in the right place at the right time. Keywords for Capricorn: it rules the 10th house, and the 10th house is the house of career and public image. It also rules the joints and bones in the human body. It is hardworking, responsible, an overachiever, ambitious, and serious. Then we have Aquarius. Aquarius is a dynamic and revolutionary sign. It has the qualities of progressive thinking and action. As a fixed air sign, Aquarius is obviously able to carry through ideas, carry through communication, new ideas and implementations. It has the ability to channel new thoughts and ideas into realistic implementations. Aquarius is always on the cutting edge of new thinking, technology, and societal progression. Ruled by Saturn and Uranus, Aquarius possesses the skills to bring forth new ideas for a more ideal and utopian society, along with the courage to break the norms that prevent necessary human progression. Symbolized by a man pouring water from a vase, Aquarius represents the ability to bring renewal to the world with the outpouring of new and fresh ways of seeing things. The two brightest stars in the Aquarius constellation are Sad al-Sud and Sad al-Melik. Sad al-Sud actually means luckiest of lucky, and Sad al-Melik means luck of the king. So these are very, very lucky stars. Aquarius is divided into 3 nakshatras. So the latter part of Dhanishta, which we spoke about, represented by the drum and the flute. Shadabishak, which is represented by 100 flowers or 100 stars. So this is the 100 healer. I believe it's 100 or 1,000. So 100 or 1,000 healers. So it's many, many healers. It is a nakshatra that can deal with addiction, that can deal with deeper issues that need to be healed at a spiritual level, and is also a very spiritually seeking and secretive nakshatra. So it is very, very highly spiritual, can deal with astrology, can deal with the mystic arts and the occult. And then we have Purva Bhadrapada. So Purva Bhadrapada is a part of a pair, and this is the former part. So Bhadrapada is called the lucky feet or the happy feet. So, this nakshatra is represented by a coffin or a funeral cot. So it's kind of about death and rebirth, and being able to pierce through that with spirituality, being able to, use spirituality in a very profound way. Keywords. Aquarius rules the 11th house, which is the house of networks and friendships. It rules the ankles as well as the nervous system. It is progressive, outside of the box, futuristic, and multi-dimensional. And last but not least, we have Pisces. Pisces is a mutable water sign. So mutable, like we said, is changeable, can go in different directions, and water is emotional, sociable, very intuitive. Pisces has a gentle and, give me 1 second. Pisces has a gentle and flexible emotional nature. Pisces is a more relaxed and easygoing sign because of its ability to go with the flow. It can easily blend its energy with others in a sort of spiritual harmony. Oftentimes, Pisces can get lost in others' emotions because they are so empathetic and they feel so much that they can take on the energy of others. Pisces is very spiritual in nature and can connect on a deep, empathetic, and psychic level. It is a sign of letting go and tapping into the cosmic abundance of the universe. Ruled by Jupiter and Neptune, Pisces has the ability to expand spiritually through the piercing of the veil of our world into the unseen and the unknown. Through deep spiritual practices and creativity, this cosmic transcendence can be achieved for Pisces. Symbolized by 2 fish, Pisces has the ability to swim in any direction and flow with the cosmic waves of life. The 2 brightest stars in the Pisces constellation are Alphurg and Gamma Piscium. Pisces is divided into 3 nakshatras. So we talked about Purva Bhadrapada. Now we have Uttara Bhadrapada, which is the latter half of the Bhadrapada couple. And Bhadrapada, Uttara Bhadrapada is about doing very deep spiritual work, working really hard on your spirituality, overcoming a lot of deep things that kind of prevent you from letting go and prevent you from surrendering to that divine energy. It can be a very heavy nakshatra, one of heavy karma and spiritual karma as well. And then we have Revati. Revati is represented by two fish, just like Pisces is represented by fish. And it is a very abundant nakshatra. It's a very nourishing nakshatra, one that is giving, that is generous, and that is very spiritually in tuned, spiritually inclined, and accepting. Keywords for Pisces. It rules the 12th house. So the 12th house is the house of surrender, of dreams, the unconscious mind, okay? It also rules feet and the circulatory system. It is about surrendering, spirituality, acceptance, and transcendence. Connect with me if you'd like to connect with me and to book a galactic astrology chart reading where I can go into your chart. The link is here, and I also put the link in the chat. And if you'd also like to offer a tip or donation, there's my PayPal, my Cash App, and my Venmo. And also you can follow me on social media. I have my website there, my TikTok, my Instagram, and Twitter. I'm not really on Twitter as much, but Instagram and TikTok I am on, and that is all in the chat as well, so you can actually click on it. And thank you.